is, I can say I have three favorite women: Rahab, Ruth, and Bathsheba, because none of them were Jewish. Rahab was a Canaanite prostitute. Ruth was a Moabite who lived among people who worshipped the false god Shemosh. And Bathsheba was a Hittite whose first husband was Uriah, but King David took to bed. When these women fell into the category of women who were looked down upon by the Jews, God looked at them with favor in his eyes and included them in the lineage of our Messiah, Jesus. God always notices the lowliest of the people. He also lifts them up. He uses the least favored for his glory and plan. God sees them from a different lens, not like how we people look at them. When this world views women as a weakling, God sees otherwise. God gives the most importance to women by including them in his salvation plan. Why? Because God gave women the chance to be the vessel to redemption. Because Eve fell for Satan's tactics to bring sin into the world. God is telling women he has not given up on them. And God is telling women they are important in his plan of redemption. And women, God is telling you, you are strong and worthy to do the Lord's work. So look at this passage and the one in Luke chapter 7. When the master of the house didn't greet him, anointing his head with oil, the two women poured the most expensive perfume on his head and feet. They didn't care about the expense of the perfume. It was supposed to be the most expensive perfume, called spikenard, from India. It might have been worth their 1 month's wage, but they didn't care. They just loved their Messiah with all their heart. It's really tremendous to see how much they loved their Lord, and it's commendable. I've seen the way Sheba, Christina, Shellin, and all the women in this church work to prepare the parsonage before Achan and his family came in. The dedication they had, it's because of their love for the Lord. They wanted to do their best because they found it as a service to the Lord. So God sees these qualities in women that world may not see, that he had already ordained the women to include them in his marvelous plan. So what are the qualities in women that are displayed that God includes them? The first one I would like to talk about is faith. Everybody knows Esther. Many people have seen the movies about the biblical character. Who was Esther? Esther was a simple woman. She was a Jewess belonging to the tribe of Benjamin. She was an orphan brought up by Mordecai, her cousin. This was during the time that Persia was ruling almost 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia. And it was ruled by King Ahasuerus. During one of the party times, he had a fight with his wife, Queen Vashti, and cast her out of his heart. She was banished. So at that time, all the virgins, young women of his province, were made to come in front of him so that they could choose a queen, the new queen. Esther, through her simplicity and beauty, won the heart of King Ahasuerus, and she became the queen. But at that time, evil Haman, he was an advisor, he tricked the king Ahasuerus to put forward an edict to kill all the Jews in his province because he hated the Jews like anything. It was Satan acting on behalf of Haman, of course. But he tricked the king to put forward an edict to kill all the Jews of the world. So, Mordecai, Esther's cousin, advised Esther to talk to the king on their behalf, on the behalf of the Jewish people. And during that time, unless the king summons his queen or any of the concubines, no one was allowed to come in front of the king, because if they come unsummoned, they would be killed. That was the rule. So Esther was a little scared, definitely, but her faith was tremendous, because through Mordecai, she realized that she was put at the right place at the right time for such a time as this. So she, in spite of being the queen, she fasted for 3 days and she prayed for the Lord's timing to give her the strength and the courage to appear in front of the king. She had faith that God will guide her. So what she thought is like, she would go in front of the king. If it was the Lord's will, the king would accept her. Or if it was not the Lord's timing or Lord's will, she would be killed. She said, come what may. But then we know what happened. She comes in front of the king, and the king has favor, and the Jewish people are protected. They are saved. So she had faith that God would protect her. Satan's agenda was to wipe out the entire Jewish race from the face of the earth. Why? Because he didn't want Jesus to be born. But God had an even better plan by placing Esther at the right place at the right time to save his people. Now, courage. Who is a better example of woman of courage other than Mary, the mother of Jesus? Tradition says that she may have been between the age of 12 and 16 when she was betrothed to Joseph. And then Angel Gabriel appears to her saying that she was to carry the Lord in her womb. Jewish children, from a young age, are taught the scriptures very well. They knew everything. They were taught very strictly. So Mary knew what was to happen about the Messiah. The virgin would carry a child. Mary knew everything. But Mary also knew the Jewish law of adultery, or if they find women with child outside of marriage, what would it be like? So imagine the fear that Mary would have had. But at the same time, Mary knew she was to carry the child. She knew that God will protect her. So she definitely had a lot of courage. She tried talking to Joseph. And imagine her frustration, or imagine what she may have gone through when Joseph didn't believe her. Because I'm sure Joseph didn't believe her at first, because Joseph was just a human being. And the angel Gabriel had not appeared to Joseph at that time. So after a lot of discussion, Mary tried convincing Joseph that the angel appeared to her and told her that she was to carry the Lord in her womb. Joseph definitely would have been skeptical, and after so much thought, that's when he decided to put away with Mary silently without humiliating her. This was before Angel Gabriel appeared to him. But then, of course, Angel Gabriel appeared to him when he was about to make that decision, and then he was convinced. She may have gone through a lot of turmoil because her chastity was being questioned. But what did she say? That she was the Lord's maidservant, and let it be with her according to the Lord's word. Look